All right, all right. So I am live on my page and on my group. I am in the middle of getting a new streaming device because I want it easy for myself, guys. Okay. I'm like looking back and forth because I'm not on the same camera this time. But I want it easy for myself because it is going to be much easier to be able to go live on YouTube and the group and the page at the same time. And now I'm like looking back and forth, but you guys don't care. You guys just want to see me. I'm just kidding. But so hopefully people jump on here and we get started. So today I am looking back and forth. I got the group right here and the page right here, but we're just going to have fun with it and go with it. So I'm excited to talk about today. We're moving on to a different area. All right, I'm sitting on my couch because I don't care. I'm lazy today, guys. Well, no, I'm not lazy because I had an IEP this morning. It was a complete shit show, but I was ready for it to be a shit show because, when you're first getting to know a school system and they're not liking that you're coming in and, kind of like raining on their parade is what I call it. And you're saying, hey, this is what you need to be giving this child because your program doesn't work. And so they don't like that too much. So, then the next meeting we clean it up and IEPs are never a one and done, but I get it done. It's just, it's one of those things where you got to be on it and you've got to, set the tone from the get-go. And it's an interesting thing, isn't it? All right. Hi, Dana. How are you? Make sure you guys post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. You know what? Let me try put you guys over here. We'll see. Let's see. Does that work? That's somewhat better, right? Then it's like stable, and then now you guys kind of turn. Okay, I'm good, right? I don't like this whole like look back and forth thing. Gosh, I can't wait till my husband fixes my camera and stuff. Okay, here we go. You guys ready for this? We're going to talk about the different, there's different assessments, okay, that are given for reading. All right, we've talked about this before. We're not going into depth about it. The KTEA, the Wyatt are my favorite. The KTEA given in full. And then the Wyatt subtests. Okay, there's 4. There's 5 in the new one. Okay, so there's some people are giving the Wyatt 3, but the 4 is out. Okay, so in the 4, there are 5 additional subtests to the ones that were on the 3. So if your child's still getting the 3, they're missing out on 5 subtests that they could be getting. All right. So that's a little bit frustrating, right? Because we want all of the subtests because they're good. All right. So that's important to remember. Again, guys over on the group, post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. You guys over the page, you guys do the same thing too. And I want to know where you're from. All right. I want you to tell me I'm from Kansas, I'm from Texas, I'm from wherever you are from. All right. And then I want you to share. Okay. Because there's other parents out there like you and me that, really want to help our kids, especially in the area of reading. Math is next, right? So today we're talking about words and the false assumptions of what it takes to be a skilled reader. We're going to talk about how there are multiple, okay, different ways in which to learn to read. And the fact that that's not true. All right. We're going to talk about the most popular reading programs are not backed by science. All right. You know how I talk about Fontes and Pinnell and how that's a real good shit show. Get your child off that in DRA immediately, if that's the case. Because they're horrible. Horrible. All right. So I want you to make sure that you focus on what is right. All right. Remember, I'm looking back and forth with you in the group. And hi, Brenda. How are you? That's awesome. Good for you. What's really important is really understanding what needs to happen in order for your child to get the right reading service. So a lot of schools, I was at an IEP this morning, and that's what we got into an argument about. And really the IEP was supposed to be about what assessments the child was going to get. It ended up being, they wanted to run through the IEP and they wanted to find out what we wanted changed and this, that, and the other. And I finally, at the end, I just said, we need to do an assessment. We need to do a full assessment of this child. They had an assessment a year ago. You guys seem to disregard it. So now we need to have another assessment. And we need to figure out where the student is, because right now she's very behind. And we need to figure out where she is. And we need to figure out what we need to do to be able to serve her. And what's happening right now is not serving her. Oh, well, we'll do whatever. We'll do whatever they want. What do you want? Just tell us what we want. We'll give it to her. Yeah, okay, sure you will. Why all of a sudden do you want to give it to her now? And then we get into the information of what is it that you're going to give her. All right. So they bring up reading 180. All right. So let's talk about reading 180. Reading 180 is actually a decent, 44, which is its sister, is actually better. There are 5 programs that are not Gillingham programs that are evidence-based. Also be careful, they may be evidence-based, however they're. Well, I'm certified in Orton Gillingham, so I'm very proficient there. Thank you very much. But what's important, guys, is to understand that what methodology you go with has to do with if that's going to be a good fit for the child. All right, so it's not always going to be a good fit. All right, Wilson is an excellent program. I like Wilson a lot. It is not Orton Gillingham, but it is like Orton Gillingham. Okay, it's very much similar to. I like the fact that they have to start at their baseline where they are, and they're not allowed to move until they accomplish what has to be done in that area. And then they can move further. They work on that until they accomplish and master it, and then they move on. I like that. But the problem is, this is where the fight comes in. Well, number one, not all schools offer Wilson. Okay, so then it's like, okay, well, what is like Wilson that they may have? A lot of times there's nothing like Wilson that they have. Then you're into this big, huge mess of fighting for what reading program is going to work for your child because they don't offer it. All right. Then you have to get into the argument of, well, if they don't offer it, what do you got to do to get them to offer it or get them to purchase it? Because that's what your child needs. They don't get to dictate what they have at their convenience on what works and what doesn't because they don't know. All right. So if they want to shove in your face, hey, this is what we haven't tried it yet. We need to try this first. That's not accurate if your child is 3-4 years behind. And then if that's the case, and you know this child is 3-4 years behind, why the hell haven't you started this program that's so great? Why are you offering it now when the parent had to hire an advocate to come in and fight for a reading program when the child's already for a year had an assessment, showed the failure to be able to read and comprehend, and you're just telling us now that you have this reading 180 that is decent, but it is not good for this child, okay? A child that has trouble with decoding, reading 180 is kind of worthless at that point. But it is a good program. I don't have a whole hell of a lot to say bad about them, but you have to look at what is going to work for each child, all right? They're all going to be different, okay? So that is what's super important to understand, all right? It's not so much about a program such as Fontes and Pinnell, that's horrible, okay, that is not aligned with the science of reading, all right? The biggest thing is some of the most popular programs, all right, are not based off the science and backed by science, all right? I'll tell you some of them that are not. All right, so it says here, some data is available in the National Representative Survey. The Education Week research basically asked K-2 and special education teachers what curricular programs they were using. All right. The textbooks they had for early reading instruction in their classroom. So what is it they had going on? What is it they wanted to have going on? And how is it that we need to improve what it is that you're doing, right? So the top five include sets of instructional materials meant to be used in a whole class setting. So it talks about study of teaching, it talks about journeys into teaching, writing projects, and it goes into all kinds of different things which target specific certain areas of the child's needs. And then it goes into Fontes and Pinnell and the leveled literacy and reading recovery, which neither of those are good and neither are aligned with the science of reading. Okay, so what's important is understanding why a child's struggling to read. All right, what is causing it? What is behind why they're struggling? Hey, Susan, how are you? Long time. And I want you guys to understand that, we talk about the science of reading and what is making it so out there right now, if you will. That's even the right word, okay? But it's one of those things where the science of reading is what's backed by research, all right? It's kind of been this hidden gem for quite some time because people have been so focused on methodologies and the schools kind of throwing up on you, if you will, on the fact that their programs are scientifically based. When my daughter was completely failing, I felt I was a failure because I didn't know what to do. She was doing Fontes and Pinnell, DRA, had no freaking clue. Yes, schools love to vomit. Yes, ma'am. You know, they want to throw up on you. It's backed by science. It's backed by science. It's backed by science. Well, I could get some person to back me on something that I say, and you can say it's backed by science. Now, I don't know how it all works. I don't. All right. I don't. I'm just throwing it out there that you can get one person to do one thing and you can say that you're backed by science. It's kind of like, the falsifications of like websites these days. A lot of people will go and copy and paste like that they've been on all these different news things and everything else, and it's on their website, and you're supposed to be like wowed by it. If you go to my website, I don't got none of that shit. I don't want that stuff. I mean, who gives a shit if you were on this and that and the other? You know what I mean? And so, but a lot of people do that they're backed by this, or, oh, they wrote an article for this. I've written articles for a lot of things, but I don't care to post it because who cares that I wrote it? I wrote it for them and what they needed it for. And that's that. I don't need to advertise it, but a lot of people feel the need to, how you've seen those websites where they have all those things like I've been on the Today Show, I've been on this, and it's all on their website or wherever. Well, anything can be backed by something. All right. So we need to look at number one, is it aligned with the science of reading? All right. If you understand what the science of reading is, then you're going to understand what type of methodology you in turn need to go with. All right. Type. I didn't say what. I didn't say what the name was. I said what type, what it needs to have, what it needs to hold, what the substance of it is. Okay. And what it's about. It must have, grab my other one. It must have all those areas in which we have recently spoken about. All right, we've spoken about it in the simple view of reading. We've talked about how the automatic recognition of words is where you begin and where you start in beginning to read. All right, you have to have that alphabet, right? And you have to have vocabulary and phonics and be able to decode. All right, you have to be able to have that phonemic awareness. All right, you have to have that orthographic mapping, and you have to be able to do all of those things to be able to get to the point where you're reading fluently. See, so many kids score great in fluency. Look at your child's scores. All right, I can't tell you how many kids I look at there that can't comprehend at all. But they're average in fluency. Have you had that? They are average in fluency. average, but they can't comprehend worth the shit. Explain that to me. Hey, Janet. Hey, Nadia. How are you? Nadia, did you see that post in reference to ABA therapy in the group? I posted about it too. If you guys aren't a part of the group, go to Autism Mama Rocks IEP group and join the group. All right? It's awesome. I love the group. The group's awesome. So here's the thing. All right? So here's what I'm getting at. I'm not going to, be crazy here, all right? Here, share Rocks IEP. Share this video. Oh, I already did that. Okay. So here's the thing. I'm arguing with this school in reference to, hi, Marina. How are you? Hi, sons. Hi. How are you? Yes, post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. Hi, Stephanie. Yes. Yes. Right? Oh, my God. I love those caps, girl. Stephanie says, amen on fluency and comprehension. It drives me insane. Oh, your child can read. Are you a teacher or anything, Stephanie? Yeah, they'll tell you, oh, your child can read. Y'all, your child can read. You know what, though? I'm not even going to laugh at this. I thought the same thing. Your child can read. They would tell me, your child can read. Your child can read. I was like, what? No, she can't. But then they kept telling me that, she was scoring all these parent, all these scores and like fluency and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, okay, my child can't comprehend nothing. This was a couple years ago. I mean, what are you talking about? Every IEP, and I have quarterly IEPs. So, every IEP, reading, parent, concerns, reading, And so that link, when it finally clicked, fluency and comprehension, and I figured out, all right, just as an educator, okay, just because I'm an educator doesn't mean that I know everything. I will never, ever, ever claim to know everything, okay? And if I don't know something, though, you guys know I'm going to find it, all right? And, the biggest thing for me is when I have those aha moments of, holy hell, fluency. And this, honestly, everything came when I was trained in the science of reading. And what sucks is like when you're trained in the science of reading, I'm certified Norton Gillingham, but like, when you're trained in the science of reading, they don't train you how to advocate for the science of reading. All right. I'm an advocate, but when you take the training, okay, you have to have, certain qualifications to take the training, that sort of thing, just like you do to become certified Norton Gillingham. But they don't teach you, okay, so this is the best thing to do. This is what you need to know to be able to fight to get your child or somebody's child what they need with something that's aligned with the science reading. So I had to figure out, what do I need to do and that was new for me. New. Okay. I will be totally transparent with you about this. And, it was a struggle because, I was on this fine line of like arguing for what I knew was right and then arguing for something that I was just a little bit uneasy of, okay, I know what I'm talking about, but then how do I convince them? When my trademark system is plan and prepare, present, persuade, and negotiate only if you have to. My PPPN system is trademarked on purpose because it works. And so I had to figure out, which I like to do, I'm very much an analytical thinker. I had to figure out how to take what I knew and flip it. Like I talk about in my course, for those of you who have my course. I took it and I flipped it. And I figured out that I just have to make it about the child. Okay? And if a child is not learning, the school has not recommended something different, but all of a sudden you start throwing shit fits and advocating for your child, and all of a sudden they want to help you. I mean, it's one or the other. It's one or the other. I have the school today. Well, tell us what you want. Just tell us what you want. They just want you off their back. What do you want? Tell us what you want. I mean, I should have said ice cream and cookies and, a piece of cake, because they were ready to give you whatever you want. Then when I said, well, I want you to have a reading program aligned with the science of reading. Okay, no problem. This is what the principal says. All right, I got this shit on tape. All right, he goes, no problem. I was like, oh, okay. When you ask questions, oh yeah, they're your friends until then. Okay, you start asking questions, and it's okay if you ask a few questions, right, Dana? But then when you get, I never. Okay, here's a tip: never, ever, ever make a statement to a school. All right, unless you're answering a direct question, like, "Is your shirt blue?" Yes, it's blue. All right, but if it's not a direct question like that, always answer a question with a question. Look at it like every time you're communicating with the school, you're gaining information. Okay? The more information you gain, the better the case you create. Okay? You automatically become an attorney. Not really. But like attorneys, they gather information, they put it together, and they create a case, right? So you're doing that as a parent. Okay? And so you just have to become really proficient in what you do. Sounds so much easier than it is. Stephanie says, this is my first time watching. My son is in 3rd grade, and after 5 eligibility meetings in 4 years, he just got assigned IEP this month. When he was found eligible, January 2021, we had to get a lawyer because this district is the worst. Where do you live, Stephanie? So the thing is, guys, and we're going to get back on here, is phonics is about decoding words. The verbiage in your reading stuff, all right? That's why don't get frustrated at me, guys. I'm going to be posting, all right? I'm in Northern Virginia. Very cool. And I'm getting right. I just bought Anne Arundel County. They're a freaking piece of work. So here's the deal, okay? Don't get confused. I'm going to be starting to post vocabulary. Don't not like it because it's not a quote that makes you happy. All right? You need to like it because you're learning vocabulary, mamas and dads and grandmas and everybody else. Okay? So I'm going to start posting some vocabulary. Yes, you guys are going to learn. All right? Phonics equals decoding. All right? So don't let them say, oh, well, it's phonics based. And then you're like thinking, okay, well, my child has to do decoding. My child has to do that. Remember, they're the same. They're one and the same. All right. But here's the thing is if one methodology is based and backed by the science of reading, it's not backed in one area. It's backed in all areas where all of those reading programs that I was, getting ready to talk to you about, which I haven't gotten to yet, that talks about the most popular reading programs that schools use, okay, aren't backed by science. And the biggest thing about them is what is backed by science is only one area. All right? So that one area could be phonics and decoding. All right? It could be anything else. Hold on one second. All right, hopefully it comes. So you have to focus on what programs are going to serve your child best. All right, so let's go into this. So you have Fontes and Pinnell. There's a HMH Journeys. There's Reading Recovery. Have y'all heard of that? There's Teaching Reading Strategies. You got iReady for different assessments and stuff. You have Lexia. But Fontes and Pinnell follows similar lectures, all right, and lesson lectures, and it's delivered in small groups rather than a one-to-one. Remember, it's I do, you do, we do, and reading instructions should be delivered on a one-to-one basis, especially if your child is struggling in reading, all right? Um, so it goes into the fact that the founders of Fontes and Pinnell, all right, declined to interview for the story of how they are not aligned with the science of reading. And the company declined to comment. Red flag, right? So the point of many disagreement and concerns is predictable in how they're teaching and their teaching methods. All right. So they'll swear by everything online. This is why you cannot just believe everything that you read and say, oh, it's aligned. It's this, that, and the other. All right. So you have to really focus on that. All right. What do you mean? Oh, I've dealt with them, Stephanie. Yeah, they're horrible. I don't like them at all. I have definitely dealt with them. I'll look up and I'll tell you who I dealt with. I hated that lady. They're taking me to due process because I requested for IEEs and that they didn't complete. I am waiting. They're say what? You asked for an IEE and they're taking you to due process? Maryland is known for that. Lexia is a practice tool, but no, it is a reading-based program. It's Lexia. Hold on, let me look it up. We were just talking about that today. Hold on. But it's more of a practice. But it's a methodology in which they're using. They shouldn't be using. All right, they're throwing kids on a computer, and that's the way they're teaching them. Lexia is not bad, but it's not a reading program. So because there's Core 5, and then there's the other one for the higher age groups. What's it called? Power Up Literacy. All right, and so it addresses the development of oral language, reading, spelling, and writing skills for students who are learning English. And then students learning English will develop fundamental reading skills with the rest of their classmates and receive student-driven and teacher-directed personalized instruction. There's Lexia Core 5 and Lexia Power Up Literacy. So, no, it actually is. It is, Dana. It has changed. And Power Up Literacy is designed to help struggling readers and become proficient readers, so they say. It's good in practice, but it's not good in a methodology. The research behind it is not aligned with the science of reading, and it focuses more in certain areas versus everything. All right. It goes into some detail on, their evidence-based research and how it stands as the most rigorously researched, independently evaluated and respected reading programs in the world with 7 studies, blah, 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 and peer-reviewed research. Well, the thing is, my child was on it, she didn't learn shit. So the thing is it focuses on phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension is what it says. All right. But then there's certain areas in which they focus when the kids are taking their test. It's not focused on everything. So they're saying, hey, here's our science, but their science is not backed up by their program. And so this is where a big struggle is happening because you have these programs out there. All right. So you have Core 5 and then the Power Up. So yeah, they are both programs. But yeah, now like a assessment, if you will, is like a STAR assessment, like an iReady, those type of assessments. I believe norm-based assessments are the way to go if you're going to really measure that. But those other assessments are good as, like, you're in between. Yeah. So, all right, I just want to read this over to you, and then I'm going to get to what we were talking about. So it goes on to talk about, we think about what it is that a good reader does, what is the life that a good reader leads, and then they talk about putting reading at the front and center. All right. They go into detail. This is a research study, by the way, that I'm reading you guys really quick. The title is how a lot of the most popular reading programs that schools are using are not scientifically researched in the way that they're supposed to be in regards to the science of reading and how children should learn. All right. So here we go. So a perfect program. It's hard to find the perfect curriculum. An instructional coach in the special education department, Blythe Wood, says, and she's a vice president of International Dyslexia Association in Ohio. She said that leveled literacy intervention, specifically for the focus it puts on looking at words as wholes and lack of decodable text. All right. So, okay. But there are good and bad parts and most commercial material. So she's basically saying that leveled literacy is not ideal. Okay. The knowledge base of the teacher and being able to identify the need of the student are more important than boxed programs. We are not going to go into everything about each kid. You can't put a kid in a box. Okay. So, it goes to show what I said, 2 days ago, was it? Where I said we have to teach our teachers. We have to invest in them. All right? Teachers don't go into teaching to make shit money and not care about kids. I will just say that. I will say that hands down. All right? I've always said you got bad everywhere. But for the most part, you don't go into teaching because you don't like kids. All right. So I don't, other than administration coming down on them and being on their shoulders and wearing them down and making all the teachers quit these days, along with COVID, the main thing that we have to do is invest in them and get them ongoing learning. I mean, most teachers want to teach what is up and coming, what is new, what is working. All right. Sometimes up and coming and new is not better, but a lot of times when something new comes out and something evidence-based comes out or something that's full of research and new is something that people should learn. It's not something that you just disregard and say, nope, I'm going to stick with the old stuff. And if the old stuff isn't working, you got to be open to change. All right. So a big thing, other than school systems need to invest in their teachers. They need to put up the darn money and spend money on methodologies and programs that are going to educate our kids. The other thing is taking a hard look at curriculum is important. What's most important, I will say, is making sure the teachers have that training, all right, and that they're able to teach in the right way. So we could have the best program out there. We can have the best scientifically based program out there. It can be completely aligned with the science of reading. But if you have a teacher that does not know how to teach that methodology, if you will, let's just go with Wilson, correctly, it doesn't matter how awesome it is. And we're falling into this problem. This is a big, big problem. That's why I keep saying to you guys, you need to start really throwing fits. All right? Throw fits about the fact that how they are teaching is not working. Don't be worried. My dogs are running around. Sorry, guys. Don't be worried about the fact that, you know, you're going to offend somebody. All right? You can't be worried about that. All right? Hi, Marina. Hi, Santa. Any tips on virtual ADAS testing next week? That's just an autism test. Hi, April. I would love for you to PM. I would like to see what it would take for you to look over my grandson's IEP. Yeah, message me on WhatsApp. Do you guys have that information? Here, let me get it for you. Jake, stop. I'm gonna post it for you. All right, there. I posted it for you. I think I did. Fidelity to programs is a huge one. Oh, yes. Yes, April. So hopefully you got that. All right, so I got April Terry and then April over here. Okay. All right, not same person. All right. Hi, Amy. Hi, Stephanie. All right. So make sure you share this, guys. Aw, thank you. When Gen Ed teacher do not know how to teach reading, have a bigger problem. Here's the thing, guys. Don't fault the teachers 100%, okay? Because the thing about teachers is that they don't learn 100% about reading in school, all right? They just don't. So you have to understand that if school districts don't invest in their teachers and get them the training that they need, they're not going to go and pay all this money when they're not making a ton of money to take all of these programs. They're trying to put bread and butter on their own table. So we have to understand the whole dynamic of everything. You know, there's this whole picture. All right, we have our kids that are struggling to read. We have a school district that gets funding that doesn't want to invest in the kids and the teachers, because if they don't invest in the teachers, they're not investing in the kids. And then you have a school district that wants to argue, who does not know anything about how to implement a right program in reading. They have no freaking clue. And it's clear by the fact that they don't know how to argue it. All right? They argue how, this is what this school district did this morning. Well, she's doing good. She's improving. She's improving. You know, she's making progress. She went up 18 points or some shit like that on a test. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, awesome. That's great. That's great. I'm so excited that she can do that. Just like I'm so excited that you want to put in, you know, the IEP at the very first part of the IEP that she likes to swing on a swing. I'm so excited. That's awesome. Thank you. But we're not looking at that. All right, we're looking at an IEP, and the point of an IEP is to focus on the child's needs. We're not focusing on that the child likes to swing. We're not focusing on the fact that they like to eat cookies. All right, we're looking at where are the deficits? What do we need to do to serve those deficits? What accommodations need to go into play so that that child's deficits are accommodated and supported? And what do we need to do so that that child can make progress? Period. I don't care that they like to swing. I don't care that they're doing awesome. That sounds bad, but I don't. I care about addressing the need because I'm hoping that they're going to do awesome. I'm hoping that they're going to make progress. But when we're talking about a child that's 3, 4, 5 years behind, and you want to talk to me about how they're making some progress, at that point, I just don't give a shit. All right? You lost all respect at that point. All right? That's just how it is. You know? You have to be transparent, and they don't like to hear that because they want to shove down your throat that there's progress. Now, here's something where you're going to call them out, guys. All right, I'm looking both back and forth because I got you group here and you page here. Or you group here, you page here. When they say, All right, when you know that your child's behind, all right, when they say to you, your child's making progress, say this: is my child making progress on grade level? Or is my child making progress 3 years back, 4 years back? Because at that point, the progress is still diminished, small, minute, hardly happening. They're 3 years behind. So when you read in the IEP, all right, I gave a lady on the group, I'm going to give her till the evening. All right. If not, I'm going to put it out there to somebody else. All right. And what that, you have to be on the group to do it. All right. I'm doing it on the group, not the page. Is I'm going to allow somebody to post their child's goals and I will rewrite them for you. So I'm going to give her to this evening. Then we'll see. Call it a freebie. So here's the deal. Hi, Raven. I would love. Yeah. So April, make sure you message me, okay? Call them out. They're telling you all these things to make you. I remember it's called gaslighting. Gaslighting. All right. So gaslighting, if you look it up, a lot of times you'll look it up and it's about relationships where it can be a guy or a girl. Okay. And that person manipulates you into believing that what you think is false and what you are thinking is down the wrong road and you don't want to go there. So they're gaslighting you into, with their words, into believing something different. It's actually not just a form of manipulation, but it's a form of verbal abuse. All right. Take it for, women, I used to go and watch children for women who have been verbally and physically abused. Okay, like down here, several years ago. Okay, I would take clothes and stuff like that, and then I would it was like once a month that I would go, and they had like a daycare there, and I would watch the kids just for free, and the home was for moms who had been verbally, physically abused and had to be given a safe place. All right. And so it was interesting because they would tell stories, and I heard, some of their stories and heard a lot of the things that they had gone through. And it was very familiar, to just, any verbal abuse that you could just possibly think of. Okay. And, if you hear the words, okay, you're stupid, you're stupid, you're stupid, you're stupid, after so much time, all right, as strong as you can be, you start thinking that way, And so that's gaslighting in that arena. Okay. I'm just giving you an example. Gaslighting in the educational system is the school system that parents are led to believe, okay, the falsification that they're going to be honest with you and have your child's best interest at heart. Do I believe that somewhere in their heart of hearts, they do care, they do want things right, they do wish things were gonna, would be appropriate and so on and so forth at administration, to not be, Debbie Downer, if you will. Yes, I mean, I don't think that we're looking at horrible people, but what you need to look at is once people get into administration and the educational system, you're looking at politics. Okay? Straight up politics. No, they're not in DC. They're not in your state capitals and that type of politics. It's the same thing though. Okay? Take in California, the class action lawsuit. Okay? There was a big class action lawsuit and, I had even, spoken with the attorney as of recent in an email. I just had asked him some questions and he's a well known now, but, I just asked a couple questions in regards to what happened, and a lot of parents got together, Okay, which is what I've said to you guys. If you've got a lot of parents got together in one certain area, give me a call, because that is a great complaint. Okay, you get a bunch of parents in the same state. Oh yes, let's do it. I am in. Let's do a state complaint. Oh, that is golden. All right. So shout out, you got a bunch of parents in one state. Give me a call. So basically, California has not been in school. It's a big shit show there. Some districts are getting it together, some are not. And, you know, it ended up being the governor and the superintendent of the schools, all right, in California. So we're talking about so many school districts, all right? Every school district in the state of California is a unified school district, and many of the schools and teachers are backed by, what the hell is it called? Shit. Unions. So it's different than in a lot of states, all right? And so administration still has to adhere to what they have to adhere to, but they give parents a harder time because the teachers and, you know, certain staff are backed up by unions. And so it's this big messed up situation. And so in the class action lawsuit, the superintendent, all right, and this happens a lot in a lot of states, not just California, all right? So the superintendent was an ass, all right? He got all his posses of attorneys, all right, together, and he was fighting it and the parents, and would not admit that they were failing the children and not providing FAPE during virtual learning. All right, kids weren't getting services that they needed. Kids weren't getting the education that they needed, the hours that they were supposed to be given. You know, nothing. And then you have the governor who finally gave in. And he said, you know what? I'll admit it. I will admit that we failed the kids and that the compensatory services need to be given. And the lawsuit ended up settling, okay, which is why you don't have this big, huge thing going on, all right? But there is a whole printout on it, all right? And it is super important to understand that that set precedents for all other states. California, Texas, New York, and the bigger states set precedents for a lot of our other states. All right, Texas being the #1 biggest state, but California, I believe, has more impact than Texas. But Texas is bigger. The other thing is when the governor gave in, all right, there was a settlement and, you know, kids got compensatory services and so on and so forth. All right. It was then that a lot of methodologies and things that the students were needing came out. All right. And so when things start to come out like that and they start to, you know, play its role, is when we have to jump and make our point that we're keeping up with the Kardashians, so to speak, and we're gonna address this. All right, we're not gonna just ignore that lawsuit happened, or that because there was a settlement that it just goes away. I bring it up to every single California district that I come in contact with, and I'm dealing with a lot right now. And I say to them, hey, you were part of that class action lawsuit. How's that working for you? They don't like that. All right? They know they were part of the settlement. Almost every district was part of that settlement in California. Almost every district. In the documentation, it's like so many hundreds of pages or whatever. But it's like the first 70 pages is all the districts' names. The first, like, 70 pages. So it goes to show you that something went down. It didn't just happen. All right? If it's happening in California, you don't think it's happening everywhere else? Of course it is. I was dealing with Ohio today. All right? Ohio is a very popular state. It's up and coming for me for some reason in Ohio. And go figure, they don't like me either. All right? But the thing is there's one district in Ohio is the one that I got Wilson reading put into the IEP. All right. And that district is going to set the precedence for the rest of the districts. You see what I'm saying? That one district in that school doing that is almost going to force the other districts next door to do the same. All right? So that's what we got to do here. Is we got to start making our mark so that it changes everything else and starts the domino effect. All right? Me too, our district isn't in this on that lawsuit. I'm down on group together. Are you in California? What district are you in? All right. All right. So make sure you guys post a 1 below if it's your first through third time catching me live. Post a 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. Governor Newsom is still there regardless of the recall. So, I know. I can't believe he wasn't kicked out, but whatever. All right. Hi, April. Welcome. All right. So let's talk about this. So word recognition is complex. All right. So language comprehension is complex as well. But the big idea of reading is that if you can master those two complex skills, then you can master reading comprehension. Write that down. Word recognition and language comprehension. All right? Word recognition and language comprehension. All right? I'm going to pull something up for y'all for a second. All right? I know I get off, like I was going to talk about this, but I think this is going to be good for you guys. So the IEP that I was in today, all right? Different times I do different things. All right. Sometimes I'm feeling them out. All right. Usually for my parents who have a package, I'll do 3 IEPs where the first one I'm either requesting an IE or I'm requesting a reevaluation. All right. So a lot of times because of what I request in the evaluations, I have to go to an IEP meeting with the parent and we fight for what evaluations we're going to do. And then I always allow the school to do whatever evaluations they want to do too, but I want mine done as well. Then the second IEP is reviewing those evaluations. The third IEP is putting the IEP together. Now, putting the IEP together can take 2 just because it's not a one and done. All right. And it's very technical. I go through it page by page. All right. So it's very important to understand that. Hold on. So when you understand that and understand there's a process, all right. You know, I was talking to a mom earlier. She wanted to consult with me. Love her. And she has a little one going into kindergarten. So she just did an evaluation that is a eligibility meeting. All right. That's what it is, an eligibility meeting. And so she was asking some questions and so on and so forth. And our IEP took 8 2-hour meetings. That's why I always ask for 3-hour meetings. But yeah, it's super important to do that. And it's super important to understand that you have to stay focused. All right. It's super important to understand what those evaluations are and their meaning, and to be able to take those evaluations, stick them into the present levels, and then create goals. All right. When you create the right goals, you're setting your child up for success as long as the person implementing those goals are implementing them with fidelity. All right. So that is very important. So what I was getting at, let me pull this email up. All right. So today was kind of a let me feel them out kind of thing. We were, talking about evaluations. We tried to go over the IEP. That was a shit show. So I just kind of ended that part. The meeting was ending anyway because we did not put like more than 2 hours into this meeting because it wasn't where we were changing anything. So the key thing is evaluations, and to create another meeting for another IEP, and I was able to get a good look at where their heads were. All right. So next in line is I got angry, because when I got angry with what is, yeah, he's just crying in his cage. Yeah, I'm sorry. So basically, they had one focus. This is what we have, and this is what we're going to offer. It doesn't work like that. All right. They don't get to say, hey, we use 180, reading 180. So this is what you got. And this is what you have to use. It just does not work like that. All right. So as I finished the meeting, I got super frustrated. So what I did was go through the documents again. All right. And as I'm going through the documents, I'm realizing that the reason the student is having so much trouble, because they kept saying she's making progress, she's making progress. And I was like, no, her evaluations are not showing that. What are you talking about? And, you know, I'm one, I'll go through things again and again. I ask parents things again and again. And I'll tell you, almost a lot of times their responses will change, grow. All right. So I started looking at the documents again. All right. The 100th time. And I was like, I've got to figure something out here, because these dummies keep pushing this program that is not right for her. So here's what I figured out. And this is part of what I wrote. I'll read it to you. I said, the IEP meeting was very unproductive. The school team needs to focus on the student's areas of need and present levels. The student has made diminished progress in reading, math, and writing. What is that? Come on, guys. Working memory. Her visual spatial processing, fluid reasoning, processing speed, and working memory are significantly impacted, all in which significantly impact her in the least restrictive environment and educational setting as stated in her IEP. Then the district, okay, hear me out here, wants to say and change her disability category to ID, all right? But, and states the student's IQ is X, okay? And that she's significantly impacted. This is in the PWN and IEP. But in the meeting, oh no, she's doing great. She's doing so awesome. Oh my God, she's such a pleasure to have. We love her. She's amazing. And she's making progress. But it's okay. She's 3 years behind, y'all. But she's making progress. All right? Let's not address the fact that we're talking about a student that has visual spatial processing. Now, let me tell you a little bit about visual and spatial processing. Okay? Ask yourself this question. Oh my God, I'm going to kill my dog. I'm going to kill my dog. So you people who are all about dogs. No, I'm just kidding. He's rotten. Rocco, you need to go upstairs. He won't go with my husband. He's stuck up my butt. And he won't go anywhere. And when I go live, he has to be with me, just like he was last night. Right now, he's sitting at the stairs because my husband tried to take him upstairs. Nope, he's down here with me, squeaking his little squeaker because he has to be with me. I can never get it right. I can never have it quiet. So if you guys are going to listen to me, you got to know that I got chaos in my life. All right. So here's the deal. So if you see visual spatial processing issues, don't think it's a damn picture. Okay? Struggles with math and reading comprehension. Okay, so if your child struggles with math and reading comprehension, start looking into visual spatial skills and processing. All right, so as I'm going through this darn IEP again, that's why I tell you guys I look at the IEP over and over and over, and the evaluations and over and over, and look at the PWNs, look at everything else. 50 freaking million times. All right. And till my head is spinning because things pop up. So I was like, what am I missing? What am I missing? You know? And it popped. All right. That visual spatial processing that people don't talk about a lot. All right. Who do you hear say, oh, well, she's got visual spatial processing. And so that's why she's got math and reading comprehension issues. When have you ever heard that one in an IEP? You don't. Right? Right? Okay. So it says, does your child often confuse their left to right? Do they struggle with copy information from like the board to the book, board to the paper? All right. Do they have a hard time arranging their materials in their desk or locker? Do they, get lost easily, like in a new place? Do they get nervous and anxiety and those types of things happening? Do they have trouble reading from a map or a chart or something maybe a little bit more confusing on a piece of paper? Do they have trouble with estimating difference and space between one another? Does your child have issues with that whole spatial thing where like they'll touch somebody and they're not supposed to be touching there or whatever, and that whole spatial where they are in space kind of concerns? Okay, that's a big deal. Or do they struggle with like Lego type things? Or, if they see a picture, can they then go mimic that picture? Like not with reading, but if they looked at a picture and they had to put the blocks how the picture is, that's a visual spatial. All right. But what is kind of thrown away that is not really talked about a whole lot is that visual spatial processing. All right. There's science behind it in regards to the comprehension and math concerns. All right. I'm looking here. You guys can look it up and, do some research on your own. It's the Winston Preparatory School. All right. And they go into the science of learning and struggles with math and reading comprehension, visual spatial skills could be the reason. So read it, and find out and, start using that, of what I like to figure out the puzzle. All right. And then I have to figure out, and that's where a lot of parents that's where I got messed up, is like I became proficient in and received my Google PhD. I gave it to myself. I did. I earned the Google PhD myself. I should like go to Walmart and get a frame and print it out and put it on my wall. But what I didn't learn was how to go fight for things in the IEP. All right. So I had this PhD in Google and then couldn't implement it with fidelity. All right. So that's where the struggle comes in. All right. That's a like practice makes perfect kind of thing. That's like took me 6.5 years of hell. It's hard. It is hard. I get it. But you'll get there. So, then I started reading some more and realized that, and talking to, the groups in Orton Gillingham, that you're put in, when you're certified with them, on how to negate that reading 180. All right. And how it was not for this student. All right. And so when a child struggles with decoding, so another thing I do is I'll email the company and set up a meeting with them. All right. And then I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to, because I want to find out what they think. I want to find out. I have questions. All right. These are things that you want to do as well. All right. Just to keep in mind. It will help you in understanding what it is that maybe your child's doing. And it will help you realize in some ways how it's not ideal for your child. All right. They're not going to tell you that, but it helps you understand things in a whole. All right. So you want to be able to argue how things are implemented, what's going to be right, what services are going to be appropriate, and what accommodations are going to be appropriate. So you have to look at that whole picture. All right. Well, this school system, they wanted to argue that the implementation was fine. All right. And they were arguing that, they would put the right services in place. They would put everything in place. They were just wanting to hand us stuff like on a silver platter. Red flag, guys, if that's ever happening. All right? They're going to argue what it is that they're going to do. Because if it takes them out of context and takes them out of their comfort zone and takes them out of programs that they're used to, and takes them out of programs that they're used to using, they're going to argue. And they're going to have a problem with it. They're going to see how far you're going to push them and how much hell you're going to put them through. Okay? That's where your persistence comes in. So, let's go back to this and we'll sum this up and we're going to continue it later. Okay, so word recognition and language comprehension are very complex. The reason that they're complex is that they're hard to learn. All right? And then in the big picture, in the big scheme of things, if your child can really grasp both of these complex skills, they will be able to master reading comprehension. All right. I am so freaking over hearing about children being so amazing in reading, but they don't have comprehension. I want to literally punch the educators out. And I'm fine saying that live on Facebook to however many people are on the page. I mean, I have about 7,000 on my group. So who knows who's watching me on the page? I don't care. It's so frustrating. How can you people say that a child can read, but put in documentation that they can't comprehend? What the hell are they reading? You are educators. How are you saying to parents that a child can read if they can't comprehend? Because you as educators should know, and I'm calling anybody out who's done this. As educators, you should know, or please God, please stop teaching. Stop teaching. Stop teaching if you're going to tell another parent that their child can read because they're fluent. Oh, well, the child is on average for fluency, but can't understand and comprehend shit. Please, please quit your jobs. Please stop teaching. Do not ever teach again. You are in the wrong career. All right? And I'm so cool with being this person telling you guys this. And I don't even care who wants to criticize me. But please, I am begging you to please stop teaching. If you are telling parents that their child can read because they're fluent, but are going to put in their IEPs and they're going to score on their assessments that they can't comprehend squat, that means that they cannot read. The purpose of reading is to comprehend what they're reading. Fluency is the ability to read words. It doesn't even mean that the child can decode the word. It doesn't even mean the child understands vocabulary. It just means that they can read words. Stop. Awesome. What does stop mean? No clue. Does that mean that a child can read? No. So stop falsifying the fact that kids can't read. So parents falsely think that their child can read, believe you, and you are only gaslighting them and making them believe that their child is making progress when in fact it is the opposite. Stop doing that. All right? Be that teacher that doesn't care if they get fired. Be that teacher that goes in and teaches children that because you love them, because you want them to do well, and that you will go above and beyond to help them do well. Stop being afraid to be fired. Because I'll tell you something, you can get a job anywhere. Because guess what? The whole United States needs teachers. So be that teacher to speak out. Teach our kids. Don't lie about where they are. Don't let administration bully you. Okay, I'm done. Said my piece. All right. So let's move on. All right. So I want you guys to make a box. Okay. Top left box, poor readers. Top right box, good readers. Bottom left box, poor readers. Bottom right box, poor readers. Write that down. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. All right. Has to do with the simple view of reading. All right. And how word recognition and language comprehension skills develop. All right. So we are going to talk about that. One thing I will tell you, all right, in going through all of this and talking about words, all right, and what it takes to be skilled readers as we go through this part of the series, what you need to understand is children who don't learn how to decode in early grades are going to struggle through adulthood. All right? So the emphasis you need to put on this situation is big. And the importance of reading, as boring as maybe this series is for some people, it is probably the most important series I'm ever going to do. It may be boring hearing me out, but it's good information. Okay? But the simple view of reading, what is aligned with the science of reading? And we're going to go through all the methodologies. We're getting there. Okay? Because at the end of the day, you don't want to get stuck talking about the science of reading and have nothing to back it up with of what methodologies that could be chosen or decided upon or tried. I'm very big on advocating in a way where if something hasn't been tried, but it is aligned with the science of reading and so forth, sure, absolutely, let's try it for 90 days. If you can't show me progress in 90 days from data, we're moving on. You put a cap on it. You put a cap on it. Don't let them lead you. Oh, we got to give them more time. We got to give them more time. Your child has special needs. We got to give them more time. No, because you should see progress in 90 days if it's done right, if it's implemented with fidelity, if the person teaching it is teaching it right. Okay? So the big idea of word recognition and language comprehension, okay, is if you can master those skills, your child will learn to read and comprehend. All right. And at first, this was a hypothesis, all right, tested by Hover and Go in 1990. All right. And it's been a study and confirmed in more than 150 studies now. And the studies show the only way to be a good reader is to have both good language comprehension ability and good word recognition skills. All right. So we're going to sum it up over here. All right. And what I want you to understand in this part of this is that being taught to read, all right, and investigating the links between proficient readers and fluent readers and the science behind what dissects this. Why are we hearing so much about fluent readers when we're not looking to create fluency? We're looking to create fluent readers. Rocco, you hear him crying, guys? All right. Wait. He's not going to let me wait. All right. So, what I want you to do, I'm going to stop there because we've been over an hour. I want you guys draw that box, poor reader, good reader, poor reader. Okay? We're going to go through that tomorrow. what I want you guys to do is I want you to look at your IEPs. All right. For those of you out there that have children who struggle with reading, I'm assuming that's why you're watching. Hi, Sarah. I was told today in our meeting my daughter with severe speech delay didn't need to have more speech. She has 20 minutes 2 times a week, but they said she struggles with everything else because of it. Yeah, she's going to struggle in reading. Reading and speech go hand in hand. Let me read y'all something real quick. Speech therapists now have had to take on, I'll tell you, hold on, I'm going to read it to you. All right, I'm reading this straight up from Masha, guy. It is the position of the American Speech Language Hearing Association that speech language pathologists play a critical role and direct role in development of literacy. This is new for them. This was not always. All right. Play a direct role in the development of literacy for children and adolescents with communication disorders. All right, including those with severe or multiple disabilities. SLPs also make a contribution to literacy efforts of a school district or community on behalf of other children and adolescents. These roles are implemented in collaboration with others who have expertise in the development of written language and vary with settings and experiences of those involved. It goes on and on and on. What I'm telling you about this is new. This has not always been. Okay? So this is new. All right? So it's important to understand that reading and speech go hand in hand. I had a speech therapist tell me, I don't remember if it was this week or last week. I want to say last week. She said to me, well, I'm not a reading specialist. I didn't say you were. What I'm saying though is for this child to have word recognition is something you should be working on. And the phonemic awareness here. How the hell does that word sound? What the hell is speech about? I mean, I'm like sitting here telling a speech therapist that she's got to teach a child how something sounds. Are you freaking kidding me? I mean, that's what I said to her. I was like, you don't think that you should be teaching this child how the words sound? Well, that's not part of her goals. I know, her goal's freaking retarded. It's stupid. Her goal is the most stupidest shit ever. We have a child who can't read, who doesn't know her words, and is struggling. And you got a goal that has nothing to do really with speech. Well, I just support the teachers. No, you don't. You're supposed to support the child. Where is the child's needs at? Well, you're a speech therapist. So speech therapists, they do all kinds of things, okay? One of them is helping a child sound out words. If a child can't sound out a word and say it right, that's why speech therapists, you'll see where the child's, a big one is R, where R is very hard for children, some children. And that is a word that I always see kids in speech. They're always working on R. My daughter is still working on R, and she can speak just fine. But, you know, it's still something that she's struggling with. I feel like she can speak fine, but she does struggle with the R. Like, it's so funny. Oh, my gosh, I should have her come down here because she knows I laugh at her. And I'm not laughing mean, but it's the funniest crap ever, is if you have her say Oreo. It is the best. It will tickle you pink, all right? Because she tries so hard. Because I say, Skylar, look at mommy, all right? Look at my mouth. And I'll say Oreo, you know? And she says it just like that. She'll say Oreo. So like when she says, Mom, can I have a cookie, Oreo cookie? It's not, can I have an Oreo cookie? It's, can I have an Oreo cookie? Because ours are difficult. But those are things that speech therapists needs to learn, you know, like I usually have a lot of luck with speech therapists. There's like a lot of good speech therapists out there. And this one speech therapist just threw me because I'm sitting there trying to tell her that we have a child that doesn't have word recognition. She's not going to be able to ever read without it. And you're going to tell me that you're not working on the sounds of her words so that she can say them right. Anyway, enough about that, y'all. All right, so remember, there's false assumptions about what it takes to be a skilled reader. This is US based, all right, and it talks about how the deep inadequacies among the US children is putting many on a difficult path to life, is what a lot of this is titled by. And it's unfortunate because so many kids are struggling to read, and where you live as well has a big impact on that. And it's unfortunate, but all children should be able to read. And if it's not working, whatever is happening is not working, you have to fight to make that change. Good things don't happen easy. Rocco, you gotta wait. Be patient. Look, he's at I have a baby gate. So he's stuck on the other side of the baby gate. Yeah. You have to, it's frustrating because the things that should happen, you'd think that should automatically happen, are the hardest things to fight for. And so you have to have that persistence and that grit. Really, that's probably a really good word for it. You gotta have grit. Hey, Kristen, how are you? Hey, Yana. How are you? How are you? Puppies are so worth it, Cindy. Oh my God. Oh. No, he's my baby. He is. You guys know Rocco's my baby, but he's spoiled freaking rotten. So yeah, guys, it's this reading thing. It's frustrating. It is very, very frustrating because the more and more I learn, because I'm learning every day, the more I'm realizing how screwed up this educational system is when I already knew it was screwed the hell up. So that's where we are. And I try to think in my head, like, why does it cause such contention? And why do they fight us the way they do to simply get a good reading program? And why is it they don't do their own research so that their programs align with the science of reading? You guys ever ask yourself these things? Like I just keep asking myself it. I'm like, why aren't they more in tune with this? Why do they want to keep fighting this? Why won't they provide the right reading programs just across the board, invest in their teachers, take some time, pay teachers double or something for the summer. Let them get time and a half. Don't you agree? Get them time and a half, get them super trained in the science of reading and a new methodology that will work, that works, all right, maybe 2, and run with it. I mean, what I don't understand either, maybe you guys are with me, maybe you're not, but if that happened, that would save school districts money because parents are taking you to due process. And that costs you $250,000 to $500,000 if it fully goes all the way to due process. So why wouldn't you buy a methodology that is based and aligned with the science of reading and invest in those good teachers so that they can implement the science of reading in whatever program that is decided upon that is aligned with the science of reading? Why would they fight that? What am I missing here? It frustrates me. So, I guess I'll stay frustrated. I guess there's things in life that we're just never going to understand. But I am fine with standing out. I'm fine with any type of criticism. And I'm fine with being that mom. Because if you don't choose to be that mom or dad or grandma, I got lots of grandmas, you have to realize, and I'm not going to say that you're failing your child. I will never say that. But what I will say is to give them everything that they need and deserve. There's no way that you're not going to have to fight. It is not going to just be handed to you on a silver platter. So I say this with clarity and finality. You guys know I use that word, don't you? Because there's so many. Let me explain that real quick for those of you who it's your first time following me. So post a 1 below if it's your first through third time following me. 2 below if you're an oldie but goodie. With clarity and finality, I fight for my parents, and because school system, well, she signed it. She did this. Mom did that. Mom said she agreed. Well, guess what? Mom didn't understand all the jargon in the evaluation. Mom didn't understand all the bullshit that you put in the IEP with your flipped verbiage that they don't understand. People don't just wake up one day and fully understand how to read an IEP. They don't. It is not one of those things that you just can read and you fully get it. It's not. Anybody that says that is lying to you. Anybody. Teachers have trouble fully understanding not just how to read an IEP, but how to write one. All right? So for a parent to have trouble just reading the IEP, pretty normal. Took me years. When I say years, I mean like 6.5. Okay? Wasn't clicking. I would flip to the back of my IEP. I'd focus just on the services. I didn't ever look at goals at all. Oh yeah, I'm gonna tell you my stuff. I didn't look at the goals. I didn't look at the present levels. None of it. I flipped to the back to make sure that she had her one-on-one, and I flipped to the back to make sure she had her 3 times a week at 1 hour of speech, and two times a week at 1 hour of OT, and she had 2 times a week at 1 hour of dance therapy, and she had dance, OT, speech. Oh, and she had PT once a week. So I looked at the direct one-to-one and all the services. That was it. I didn't know to look at anything else. I was worried about the one-on-one and services. I didn't know nothing about present levels. I had no clue. I had no idea what was in there. It was just a bunch of written stuff, so I didn't want to read it. I'm being honest. Goals, I would read over them, but I didn't know what the importance of them was. Call me stupid, but I did not know when I first started out the importance of what these goals were for. I didn't even know how people implemented them. And yes, I'm a teacher, but I didn't understand. All right? Because we're not taught that in school. We are not. Okay? Important to know that you are not group, page. Do not ever be backed into a corner because the school system is saying, well, you agreed. Because anytime you can rescind. Anytime you can say, I don't agree. Anytime you can say, I don't agree because I did not understand what I was agreeing to. Own it. Okay? You don't have to understand. Well, you do, but you don't have to admit that you understood something that you really didn't. You want to say you didn't. Okay? So it's important to know that being transparent about not knowing is okay. Because with clarity and finality, what that means is that IEP is written, or that evaluation is written, or whatever it is that you sign is written in a way that's so clear that you understand the final destination. Clarity and finality. That is a procedural violation if it's not done. Okay? So everything in regards to the IEP must be written with clarity and finality. Start using these words. It is not clear. It's not written with clarity and finality. I don't understand. I tell my parents all the time, I don't understand. Just learn to say that. I don't understand. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand. Say it over and over and over and over and over again. Don't say you understand something if you fully do not understand it. Okay? Admit that you don't get it. All right? So let me explain this to you. I'm going to give you an example. Remember, I told you I have a whole document of violations and what they're called. So it is called, I'm getting there. I went too far. Hang on. I just want to give you guys some examples. Okay. It's a procedural violation. So here's what I wrote. All right. I wrote up my own with research and some examples of case studies and that sort of thing. So, and cases that went to due process. So I said all services delineated in an IEP should be set forth in a fashion that is specific enough for parents to have clear understanding of the level of commitment of services on the part of the school system. This will help avoid misunderstandings and ensure meaningful participation in the educational decision process, because you, my friends, are equal team members. That's another procedural violation. If you are not treated as equal team members, which they do all the time, they fail that one all the time. All right. So a couple ideas of what this means is we didn't have an IEP proposed at the beginning of the school year because the parents left the meeting. All right. Or the school personnel offer 3 options for placement, hoping the parents accept one of them versus offering what they're supposed to be offering. So that kind of leaves that big question mark, you know? Another is, that your child, that you don't understand what your child is getting. Okay? So she will receive occupational therapy on an as needed basis. That is not with clarity and finality. Or we recommend she receive 3 to 5 periods per day of special education services. What does that mean? That's not with clarity and finality. All right. OSEP actually put something out with that in 1990, and letter to Akron, ACKRON, and it's the number 17 EHLR 287. Yeah, I'm crazy. I know these numbers. Anyway, that is a case in regards to a situation like that where we recommend 3 to 5 periods for the child of special ed. All right. So that's not with clarity and finality. All right. Another big violation, failing to make educational recommendations, decisions based on the individual needs of the student. Okay. So sometimes IEP recommendations are made upon the availability of programs. I should change that verbiage in my write-up. It should say, many times IEP recommendations are based on the availability of certain programs, all right, or services, or cost of services, rather than the student's individual needs. IDEA states the availability of services or the cost should not be a determinant factor in making service recommendations. Rather, recommendations for services must be made on the basis of every student's individual educational needs. Otherwise, this could be considered a form of predeterminative placement, as well as a failure of the individual needs of the student and a failure to provide FAPE. All right? Yes, I got very proficient in what these things mean. Okay? So we're going to talk soon. Tomorrow, probably. I'm going to probably go live early tomorrow. Let me look. I'm going to look at my calendar. I'm going to tell you when I'm going to go live tomorrow. I'm going to try to stick with it. Oh my God, I'm so bad about that. Okay, so tomorrow, it's the 7th, right? All right, so tomorrow, we are going to go live, more than likely, around 11:30. All right? I'm not going to be long at all. 20, 30 minutes max. And we're going to talk more about words. We're going to talk about how to become skilled readers. I'll talk about 1 or 2 different methodologies that I'll throw out there that do align with the science of reading. And I'm going to talk about how those 2 of several may be for your child or may not be. Just because it's aligned with the science of reading doesn't mean that it's going to be aligned with your child. Okay? Because there's many different programs aligned with the science of reading. Now, most methodologies based on the science of reading, if implemented with fidelity, with a knowledgeable person delivering that information, your child should learn to read. All right? So I wouldn't be so picky about what program is going to work or not work. I would more focus on who's delivering the program. Okay? That's going to be key. All right? Not if this science-based reading program or this science-based reading program is better than the other. Who cares? All right? Because things don't have to be the best. Things have to be proficient and good and taught in a way that your child can learn. You do, we do. What? Like I'm all confused. I do, we do, you do. Okay? So I do it first and model it. You do it next and model what I just showed you or do what I just showed you. And then we do it together because they're not going to get it right away. So then you do it again and you're modeling it together. And then guess what you do? You do it again and again and again. And the children learn by modeling. They're not learning by memorizing. Okay? Learning by model versus learning by memory. That is the difference in reading today in schools. Schools are teaching how to memorize. All right? You know the student I was telling you about today who, I got off the IEP and I lost my shit and I started writing an email? Okay, well, let me tell you something. All right? Sometimes you have to figure out the core of the problem. Rocco! You have to find out the core of the problem to get to the problem. Sometimes it's not going to click right away. All right, but let me tell you something. In the first sentence, in the present levels in reading, you want to know what it says? That the child's good at memorizing sight words. That is not a good statement. And you want to know what the school said? Oh, we just copied that from, the evaluations that was done. We just copied it over. It's supposed to be copied over. Well, what are the present levels right now? They had no clue. Things they showed us were not given to us in the FERPA request. Where the hell did they come up with that? That is a failure to allow the parent to participate as an equal team member. Not only did you fail to provide the FERPA documents, a federal violation, all right, you're now saying, hey, we got other documents that we didn't even give you. And we're going to talk about them here today in the IEP and tell you. And then when I asked, well, why didn't we receive these documents? Oh, well, I just gave you, this is the director who said this shit. Well, I just gave you what, was given to me. You're an administration woman. How do you not have it? She was waiting on teachers to give it to her. Teachers don't keep records like that. She made no sense. Pay attention to these things, guys. It's going to start hitting you like, all over the place, like a ping pong table. You're going to be hit back and forth, because they're going to blow your damn minds. All right. I hear you, Catherine. It's okay. Message me if you have any questions, okay? And if you guys have questions, let me know. You guys know I'm always open to criticism. Hopefully it's constructive. And I want to hear what you guys have to say. I really do. Because, I think we all want change. I think we all want our children to do better. I think we all want the school systems to just make things right and not fight so much. Why fight? Why fight us so much? Just because we want to get our children to read? To do math more proficiently? It's so true, guys. If your child can't read, if they're not having trouble with math now, they're going to. Once they get to those word problems and once they get to other things, they're going to cap off and they're going to start struggling with math. Yes, it was happening to me with our daughter. They say her psychological evaluation of 2018 is missing and the staff member that did it no longer works there. Well, happens all the time, Christine. So frustrating. Yeah, I see you. You have not been a good boy. You have not. You see this? Rotten dog. Rotten. All right, guys. God. He's like, Mom, he's stuck at my butt all the time. I'm a foster mom for dogs. So, I'm done. So if you guys want to hop off. But I'm a foster mom for dogs. So like, I only do puppies because, Skylar can be fast sometimes. And so I don't want to have the older dogs and then them be snippy or whatever, because you never know where they came from, or, if they're gonna, bite and whatnot. And when you're a foster mom, you don't know that stuff. You don't know these dogs. You're just fostering them until they get adopted. And so he was a puppy. I should show you before pictures sometime. But he was one of the puppies that was one of the litters that I had gotten. And he was the runt. And I had to take him out of the little cage that I had them in and feed him separately because he wouldn't eat and he was just a little funny boy. And so I ended up bonding with him. And here's the funny part, is the dog would never give me a kiss. ever. You know how, I mean, anybody that loves dogs, okay, and puppies, you're like, you want those puppy kisses. And, you know, he would not at all, ever. And I was like, what is wrong with this dog? He will not give me puppy kisses. And so finally, you know, I worked with him and, you know, he finally, you know, did. And he's the best dog ever, but he is a big, big, big baby. And he is very much stuck up my butt. So he will always, like, whether I'm live or not, if I'm upstairs live and he's not up there with me, he cries the whole time. And then I can't focus in talking to you guys because he's crying the whole time. And my kids are grown. And Skylar's older. She even knows to be quiet when I go live. But, you know, it's fine. You guys are going to know that I am not going to be one of those advocates that just sits there and, you know, says, oh, yeah, my life's great. Everything's quiet at my house all the time. Nothing's ever going on. And you know, life's great. Nothing's ever crazy. Not true. My life can be super crazy. All right. And it's extremely busy. Okay. So last thing. All right. I have 2 spots available now. Okay. I have filled my spots. So I have 2 spots available now. And, that's taking parents, you know, I will make some considerations depending, but, in taking parents over the summer. All right. I limit the amount of parents I take over the summer, but I'll tell you, you get a whole lot done over the summer because I'm able to get your IEP in order within the first 45 days of school. All right. So if you're at that point where you're like, holy shit, what am I going to do? My child needs ESY. I haven't done ESY. They won't meet with me. They're stalling, blah, blah, blah. All right. They can't put you off for ESY if you request it right now. Number 1. Number 2, over the summer is when you prep, when you go over all those things and go over the data and go over the things that you want. You can put in your request for evaluations and so forth. And as long as it's put in within a time period before school ends, they have to start now. And then that time counts for when they start school. So the time they start now is subtracted from when your child starts school. Okay? So that's why it's so important to not ignore summer. All right? And then once school starts, then they finish the evaluations, you get to the IEPs, you get things scheduled, you get things together, you get things going, and your child isn't waiting till Christmas for a good IEP, which is not what you want. I did it several times because that's the way they led me, and that's the way they stalled, and I learned really quick what I needed to do. All right? And number 1 was not think that I was on IEP vacation. There is no such thing as IEP vacation. You are not going on IEP vacation. Okay? So if you follow me at all, do not go on IEP vacation. All right? I'll give you 2 weeks of vacation. I'm taking a week. I can't wait. I'm going to Destin. And we do weekend things, but we're going to Destin for my birthday week, Band of July. And we are so excited. So anybody who lives in Florida, come see me in Destin. All right. I will definitely meet up with you guys. And so it's important. So I'm going through Georgia to see my son because he's in the military, stationed there. And then I'm heading to Florida. So if you guys are in that area, message me. So yeah, you don't want to go on IEP vacation. All right. So if you need to get stuff done, your kid's starting school next year, you know, you have a little one that's just going into kindergarten and you need those first evaluations. Don't wait. Don't wait for the beginning of the year because then they're going to take the first 45 days and they're going to take their sweet old time. All right. Then you're going to be meeting after that. Then you're going to be, you know, having to go over the evaluations. Now it's October at that time. Then you're going to, you know, have to create the IEP. Don't do that. All right? Don't do that. So message me if you need help or even if you just need guidance of which way to go, and we'll talk about it. All right? So I will talk to you guys soon. Have a wonderful evening. I cannot believe I talked an hour and 49 minutes today and 43 seconds. But this reading piece is important. And I want you guys, even if you go back and re-listen, I want you to pick up the key aspects of what's important. What I may do on the group is start putting in the files section. You know how there's a files section? I'll start putting the important stuff. I'll make some documents for you guys. That might be a good idea. All right. Nadia says, I really love when you say I do. You do, we do. Del Rose says, thank you for this valuable information. Lizzie says, yep, that's what Lizzie says, precise. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. All right. So Sarah says, I was told today in my art meeting. Okay, we talked about that. Is that the speech? Severe speech? Yeah. We need to talk, Sarah, because that's not okay. I mean, how old's your child? But no child should get under 30 minutes of speech. Ever. Ever. Because here's how I look at it. And then I'm getting off, guys. Okay, my husband hasn't even come down here. So he's probably pissed because he's hungry. And it's like almost 9 o'clock here. So here's the thing. Is you don't want to allow schools to do that to you. All right? You got to look at it like this. They go to get your child at 9 o'clock. They take them down to the speech therapy room. Because at 9 o'clock is when they have speech. They take them down to the speech therapy room. They get to the speech therapy room about 9:05. All right? Then they have to get, okay, mind you, our children have disabilities. Okay? They don't just sit down and up. They're ready to go. So then they have to get acclimated. Okay, let's just take 3 to 5 minutes. Okay? Then what happens? We start speech. Okay, so now we're what? 10 minutes in? And they got 20 minutes, so they get 10 minutes of speech. And that's if the child has no distractions. Not okay. All right? So I will talk to you guys soon. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Bye.